Okay, now I'm going to show you how to create an assignment and how to align it with a learning objective. So what I'm going to do is go under materials, and here I'll see a list of any of the materials I've created so far. You can see I've just mostly been playing around creating stuff as examples. So I can go here and add materials. What I can do also is create folders for each type of material to go in. So typically best practice is if you're teaching in units in your class, you could create folders for each unit and keep the content inside each one of those unit folders. It makes it easier for the kids to find it. So why don't I do that now? I'll create a folder. I'll call it Unit 2. You can even color coordinate it so it's a different color from the previous unit folder. I could put a description of the unit down here if I wanted to. But right now I'll just keep a high level. I could even add dates to the folder so that they become published and unpublished. I don't do that myself, but you could. I could also hide this folder for now while I'm getting it organized and then make it visible to the students later on, or make it visible after a date. For me, I'm just going to keep it visible. So you can see there it is, Unit 2. If I want to move that around, I just pick it up and I can drag it, I'm pretty sure, up here like that, and now Unit 1 follows Unit 2. If I go inside Unit 2, I can create my assignment. So I'm going to go in and say create assignment, and then I get this dialog box. Something to remember whenever we're creating an assignment or a test here at Elmwood, even if it's a pen and paper test, you create an assignment so that it blocks off those dates in your course, and your students will know they have an upcoming test. But I'm going to create an assignment here. I'm just going to call it test assignment. I could put a description here, and this is a rich text editor, so you can make things bold and underline things. You can, in fact, if you wanted to create your whole assignment here and not create sort of a Word document for it, you could do that all here. It even has now, I think, a handy formula editor, I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, you can add equations and stuff, symbols and all that kind of stuff. You can go directly to your Google Drive to attach something as well by pushing that, which is pretty awesome. So if you created a Word document and it's saved to your Google Drive, you could just you could add it right like this. I can import the link. Push enter. There you go. So it's importing the link to that Google Drive item. And you just have to wait for this to finish. But because it doesn't matter right now, I'm going to just close it. Okay, so you want to create a due date. So let's create this, let's say it's September 30th. By default, for some reason, Schoology decides to put the due time as 11:59 p.m. And just so we don't have kids working that late at night, I think we should do it no later than 9 p.m. And then it has a point scale, like how many points it's out of. Myself, I leave them all at 100 points. Okay, so categories. Remember we set up the categories in the previous, so I could choose tests, assignments, or discussions here, and then by default we can choose what grading scale to use, and because I chose the MYP 1 to 8 scale as my default scale, it chooses that here as the default scale as well. The last thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to align learning objectives. So all the MYP learning objectives have been input into the system already. So I can push the little target button here and then go under, it's under custom learning objectives and school, and then MYP learning objectives. And so then I could go through here and find my subject. And then you can see they're listed by criterion, A, B, C, D. And I could say, okay, well, which learning objectives was I evaluating here? And maybe I'm doing these 3. And you can see as I click them, they stay highlighted here and they pop up down here. And then I can say add learning objectives. And I can say create to create my assignment. So now you can see There's the assignment. It's been created. You can see the learning objectives. You can see the specific details of the learning objectives by hovering over the learning objectives, and the students can see these too. I'm going to show you one last thing that I think is pretty cool that you might want to try out this year and let me know how it works. I can say I'm going to go back and edit my assignment. And down at the bottom, instead of using that 1 to 8 MYP level thing, I'm going to go here and I can create a rubric here. So I'm going to say create new rubric, and automatically based on the learning objectives, it's created a rubric for me. So it's got all the learning objectives that I added. I added criterion B2, 3, and 4. Those have automatically gone into my rubric. Now the only sort of annoying thing here is it's a 1 to 4, and the MYP rubrics that we're using are 1 to 8. So what I could do is just add the extra levels I need. So I've got, let's see, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Oh, did that not work? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I have to do that to each one. But once I've done this, I can save the rubric and reuse it again next time. So if I want to create a rubric that's specifically designed for the MYP that I might be able to use again in the future, I can save it here and I don't have to do this again. Now the other thing it doesn't have is the descriptors here, and I could just leave the descriptors blank and attach the MYP rubric or the rubric you've created to the assignment, or I could go in and actually just add them here. So I could add the descriptors here if I wanted to. But I'm just going to leave them blank. So I can say I have to give it a title here, so I could call this criterion B, and maybe that's my criterion B rubric that I'll use again and again. But you know what? I'm going to add one more learning objective to that. So custom learning objectives, school, and I can do it right here through the rubric editor as well. MYP and design, and then year 1, and then why don't I go ahead and add all of my criterion B learning objectives. Okay, so I've got this one. Oh, it goes 2, 3, 4, 1. I just move objective 1 to the top so that they're all in order, and I can just call this design criterion B, and then I'll have access to this criterion B rubric wherever I am. So I'm going to say create, and now you can see that's how it's being graded. So when you go and grade an assignment, you can literally just click on which level they got for each learning objective to grade them. It's pretty awesome. So I'll save changes. There we go. And that's how you create assignments, align them to learning objectives, etc.